Hello everyone and welcome back once again to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Boeing with a G 787 Dreamliner, 787-10 more specifically. They released a patch for this airplane. One of my earliest, if not my first flight sim video was just a quick montage of how broken flight sim was at the time, and in a lot of ways it still is. But one of the fixes they claim to have done is the bouncing issue with the 787. And in that video, you'll see the airplane be land, and then the airplane does like a bounce and then a nose stand. It's wild. Admittedly, not the best landing attempt for me there, but anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take this airplane out over Everett, and then we're going to swing over Friday Harbor, Sky Harbor, I don't know, somewhere just in Canada. And then we're going to come back to our departure field, which, in case you haven't noticed already, is the Everett plant in Washington, just outside of Seattle. This is where they actually make, or used to make, I'm sorry, the 787s are now made in South Carolina, but previously, and I'm sure they're still finishing a few aircraft there, this is where they made the 787. Well, they made... Okay, I'm doubling back. They made them... Some of them were made here in Everett, and some of them were made in, I think it's Charleston, South Carolina. That and 747. A lot of 737s, a lot of MAX aircraft, a lot of 787 next gens, or 737 next gens. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's hop in the cockpit. So no update with that. There's a guy just hauling. Where did he go? Oh, is that him? It was. Anyway, no updates as far as real realism goes. Basically, you turn your power on and everything's already pre-aligned to go, which kind of sucks, but there's other aircraft to fix that yet. So you can see our planned route out to Everett, and then to Friday Harbor, and then we're going to swing back to Boeing. Let's get the airplane going, shall we? Turn all of our... Actually, we're going to leave those off for now. We're going to simulate no passengers on this flight, but I will still do our seatbelt sign. There we go. Of course, that doesn't work. Right, APU is on. I believe the bleed air control doesn't work in the 787. Air conditioning. Fuel pumps. So we got our fuel pumps on. It's okay. We don't need hydraulic power right now. We'll get the beacon flashing so people know we're getting ready to start the aircraft. And we will go ahead and start engine number 1, wherever that starting might be. You don't fly the 787 much in flight sim, just because it's broken. It's not a fun airplane to fly. The transponder still doesn't work, which really sucks. That kind of irks me, but... Ooh. Why did we get so quiet all of a sudden? I didn't turn off the packs. Ooh. Yeah, pack set to auto. Now, given they're an operative for me, that's strange. So normally you would hear the packs quieting down when you go to start, but I didn't do that. I don't think it's automatic in this airplane. Where is this start switch? On a lot of Boeing products, it's overhead, right? 747, it's for pull knobs. Am I just missing it? Okay, fuel, pressure, aircon, fuel jettison, ret, electrical, I don't know where the start switch is. Oh, they're right here. Okay. Engine. Okay, starting engine 1. That took longer than I really want to admit. Anyway, N2 is creeping up. That sound is, or the lack of sound is worrisome. Yeah, it's just quiet. But we are getting N2 rotation. We'll wait till she gets to about 20%. I think it's 20 or 25%. Using general numbers, this is flight sim, after all, which is always my favorite sentence. This is flight simulator. Therefore, we're not going to follow accurate, we're not going to follow accurate startup, because in flight simulator, it's not well modeled. Yeah, that doesn't sit well with me either. Okay, engine 1's lighting off. We're going to be heading, I guess, like a northwesterly heading. So we'll go even 1,005. We'll go 12.5, right to the point where we need to have supplemental oxygen. Maybe we'll go 14.5. Get a pretty high vertical speed going. Maybe not that high. 2,500 feet per minute sounds good. Disarming the auto throttles. Right, engine 1 is up and running. We'll go ahead and start engine 2. It's just very quiet. Extremely quiet. Let me fix that really quick. A little more volume on a flight sim. Alright, we are at 20%. We'll throw fuel in. I'm at a loss as to if I want to enable the ATC for this flight, or if we just want to do it. Just because, again, the transponder, yeah, I'm unable to turn on the transponder, so we're not going to bother with ATC this flight, which again is unfortunate. But what are you going to do? This is, yeah, all of this seems to still be an op, which sucks. Even the panel off key doesn't do anything. Wow. Oh, every time I fly this airplane, it's just a big old disappointment. Anyway, I'll turn on our flight directors. I think we're actually set to go. So we'll taxi light on. APU gens, we'll leave those on for now. Engines 1 and 2 are fully started. Unable to turn off APU bleed air, so we're just going to leave that going. I think that is actually automatically controlled on the 787, which is fine. We'll drop our HUD, and we will drop our first officer's HUD, because they don't exist inside, but they do on the outside. Flight sim, everyone, flight sim. And then we're going to taxi right through this blue KLM tug, as well as meatloafing at least these two guys, possibly this person as well, depending on our engine RPM. We're going to murder this guy in the truck, and then we're going to murder this air stair as well. I can't wait. Let's go. Parking brake off. And let's throttle out. Well, it will be interesting to see if they did any fixes to the nose wheel steering. That was my other gripe with the 787. Let's go hard to the right. They have not. It's unfixed. So the problem is the 787, like many airliners and many aircraft in general, it has a very tight nose wheel steering angle, but that doesn't coincide with what you're seeing visually for the nose wheel. So if I go hard left rudder, the game freezes, and that's all the deflection I get, but you can tell the aircraft is actually skidding right now. So I'm going to straighten the rudder out. Our nose gear should have gone back straight because it's hydraulically powered, but whatever. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. That actually could be wrong. It could just be dampened into the straight direction by the movement of the aircraft and pushed left or right by actuators. I'm not 100% certain on the 787. Oh, for all I know, the 787, it could have electric, for all I know. Do not know this aircraft that well. I do know that the 787 has electric engine start, which is pretty cool. Okay, flaps are set. We'll go 1 4 right here. We'll get all of our frozen. what's going on with that. I don't know how to fix it, and it's so frustrating. Guess I should have cleared the active since we're not talking to ATC right now. So I don't know if it's just, if it has improved its it's still not where it needs to be. I'll tell you that much right now. I don't know if it's just me being more adept at how the 787 frozen, how the 787 taxis compared to how it should, and I've just adjusted that myself. Or if they've done some tweaking, but it still definitely needs work. Before I couldn't even make this turn onto 1-4 right. And it drove me up a wall and across the ceiling. Anyway, auto throttle's armed. Let's go fly. No V-speed set, so just, no pun intended, wing it here. There is 80 knots. Question. 80 knots on the FO's display as well. I think 140 is probably a good speed to start pulling back, so we'll start pulling back on the Yokorino. And we're airborne. Got a good positive rate, we'll go gear up. Release flaps. We'll start turning out to our departure. LNAV and autopilot hold. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I don't need, you know, any sort of, this is a frustrating aircraft to fly smoothly. Partially because of the latency hangs and the low frame rate, but also just because of how it's designed. Anyway, let's take a look outside. Should actually probably turn off that taxi light because we're going to be shining ourselves in the eyes. It's another bug with a lot of the flight sim airplanes. I don't think a 787 actually has it. No, it does not. But a lot of the other flight sim aircraft will shine. If you leave the taxi light on and you're in the cockpit, it'll actually shine the taxi light into the cockpit when the nose wheel retracts. I know the Citation Longitude is notorious for that, as well as the Boeing 747 both do that, and it just drives me absolutely nuts because those aircraft, once the gear is no longer in a down and locked position, that brace is not over center, that light turns off. I know that for a fact on the 747, and I would be willing to bet quite a substantial amount of money it's the same thing on the Citation Longitude, which is for all intents and purposes in the aviation world a brand new airplane. But that's it's just my 2 cents. Let's go anti-ice to auto for those. And the rest of the cockpit's looking good. We'll turn off the lights. We won't need those, I don't think. Keep the landing lights on through 10,000. And we will actually increase our vertical speed just a hair. Well, by just a hair, I mean 1,000 feet per minute. I've also noticed the tolerance for fast selection. So when you are scrolling through menus, so here, we're not using the heading bug. So if I go to the heading bug before, the rate at which I could scroll before it would start jumping was a lot less than it is now, and I don't like that. And even when I scroll slowly, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. It jumps a lot, which bothers me. But I digress. Let's go. Just leading edge flaps. 7K. We'll bump it up. 5 knots. Right there. So. Anyway. Okay, we're getting lined up on our approach path here. Do just a quick scenic flight, and then we'll come back and test the bounciness. I will say, we did not get any bouncing once we were when we were taxiing out, which is already a good thing. It would bounce before even just taxiing normally, so. Beautiful wing flex. Not a trademark of the 787, but that was one of the first aircraft to get really big wing flex because of its composite wings. Obviously, lots of other airplanes had wing flex, but with the 787, they actually come above the fuselage of the aircraft. And that was a really big thing for Boeing. I don't really know why. It's a composite wing. It's obviously going to be more flexible than a, you know, aluminum or steel wing. But anyway, so there's 10K. Let's roll the airspeed up. Now I'll take your fast scrolling. Okay, maybe not that fast. Final notch flaps in. Super 350. Actually, we'll go. Oh my god, yeah. Why is it porpoising? I'm not adjusting anything to do. Is it lowering my rate of climb because my airspeed's not where it's supposed to be? That's stupid. Anyway, climbing out. I think Seattle's well behind us at this point. Yeah, there she is back there. You can just see the Space Needle. Well, I think that's the Space Needle, honestly, right now. There it is. So the blob right over our left-hand port side horizontal stabilizer. So it's through 10,000. We'll turn off our landing lights. We'll turn off the logo light too, not that we were using it. I'm going to keep the APU running. I think it's 18,000 and below. The APU is good to run, so we'll keep it running for now. Above that, it gets choked out. Lack of oxygen. It's not a high-performance engine or anything like that, so. Anyways. Oh. It's quite the zoom. It's really a shame about this airplane too, because I want to do, you know, some more flights with this and the 747 actually, but they're just not. They're not to the point where I would want to do videos on them, if that makes sense. Even though I'm doing a video now, it's more or less just waiting to see if they fixed what they said they fixed. It is a very nice looking airplane. The details look good. You know, the graphics on the default airplane, this is very good. Well, looks like we're coming up to 340. Was that too fast? It was not. Okay, max bank set to 25. I'm actually going to just set that to automatic, so we can figure it out. Why are we not turning? Am I supposed to overfly Everett? That's stupid. Oh no, there we go. Turn now. Super pretty airplane. We're flying with live weather now. But if I advance time a little bit and I make it like sunset, let's say, oh, that's not as good of a look as I thought. Okay, well, maybe a little more sunset. A little less sunset. A little less. Okay, a little less. There we go. A golden hour. It looks pretty there. A little bit of issues with, I don't know if you guys run into this too. It's the same thing. You'll notice the wheels, once we're rolling in motion on the ground, you get this weird distortion. I almost would rather it just be a 2D sprite, like a forward-facing sprite, that I don't know, but that does not look good. Same thing with the wheels. I don't know what Flight Sim's done with their motion, and I mean the propellers look okay. Okay, emphasis on okay. They don't look great, but go back to live weather. Yeah, I don't know. It looks okay. Oh, it doesn't actually once you get up close. I don't know. Still a fun, pretty looking airplane. So we should be cruising at 14.5 right now, which we are. It's under set 3014. I think we set. Yeah, well, I couldn't change it anyway if I wanted to. Flight Sim, thank you. Let's get some preemptive braking set up here. I'll set auto brakes to 2. I'll arm or speed brake. I don't like how it follows my finger around here. This is stupid. I don't like this. I understand the real 787 does this when you have your hand on it, but if I'm just moving from like my speed brake lever up to here, I don't want my cursor to follow me. I'm not a fan of that. I know, I'm being nitpicky. If a really high quality Payoneer 787 came out, I'd buy it. 100%. There were ones for other sims. There were, and they were great, and I loved them. This is, you know, aside from visually looking nice, I don't think it handles very well. It's not very rewarding to fly. So, unfortunately, we won't be seeing, or you won't be seeing many more videos on the 787 until they get their act together. So let's go down to 11.5 now. We'll go 500 feet per hour. We'll go 1,000. Down to 345 on the airspeed indicator. Just a quick little flight test. Volumetric clouds are looking nice though. I know I've mentioned this in another video, but another gripe I have are the, other than the freezing, is the R, rather, not is, R, the strobe lights. So the 787, to my knowledge, is a fully LED external lit aircraft. There's not a single incandescent bulb on the external of the aircraft. With the exception, you know, maybe, I don't know, in the gear well, maybe they cheaped out and put an incandescent, or like, you know, maybe in the nose gear for the crew panel to connect and disconnect. But as far as external lighting on the airplane goes, it's all LED. And they really missed the mark here with the strobe lights, and I'm trying to get them in frame. It's hard to do because of how far back on the wing root they sit. Let's go into the drone cam now. See if, oh, that's not what I want. Okay. So, if I go, there we go. So, the strobe light on my wingtip, and it's the same on the other, is a flashing like a, resistive element type strobe, like the flash bulbs that you used to have. And it's the same deal on the tail cone. There it is. That's just not realistic. The 787 has an incredibly, and that was one of the things I noticed when I first saw 787 in person, maybe even when I saw, you know, the videos of the flight tests and all of that, was how, okay, and now it froze there. It froze there. But ironically enough, that is close to the duration of the strobe light on the 787. It's a very long strobe. It's not nearly this quick. It would have taken all of, I don't know, a couple minutes to change the coding just for this airplane. Was it extra work? Yes. Would it have taken another person to know that? Yes. But again, if you're going to title your game Flight Simulator just because you're Microsoft, you know, the flight geeks like myself are going to notice stuff like that. But, anyway, I digress. You know, it's such a small detail, you know, out here, or even back, you don't even really notice it, but If you know, you know. Where are we going? Okay, we're still en route to Victoria. I was like, we should have turned left, but no. So we're going over. I think we're actually in Canadian airspace now. If I pull up our map, yeah. So there's our space marker. Well, I guess they don't really break up. No, so I think this is the international border for airspace. So we're just gonna cross in and then come back. Water is... that is water, isn't it? It's not clouds. I think that's... yeah, so that's supposed to be water reflections, but we're frozen, but it's so low poly you can't really tell, unfortunately. I don't know. It definitely needs a little optimization. I'm sorry that all my flight sim videos just kind of devolve into this. It's kind of just the attitude that I've taken on with this sim. I've got a coworker who I used to, we used to work in the same area. He was actually my former boss, but now I'm in a totally different area. But he really likes flight sim, and, you know, we would every day come in and, you know, once the, you know, when the game released new, I think, was it back in August of 2020? I don't remember when it was. It wasn't August. But when it did release, you know, we would come in every day and tell each other about the new bug fixes, or the new, not the fixes, good God, they're still out there, but tell each other about the new bugs that we found, you know, the night before. And we were excited for multi-crew, which I don't know if it was officially discussed, or if one of us just heard about it or something, but it didn't exist. So, you know, we would do a couple of flights, each in the same aircraft type, you know, different team member, different library, that sort of thing. That was kind of quick, so kind of devolved back into each of us kind of just did our own solo things, and we, you know, come in, oh, hey, did a flight in a Frozen 787. Yeah, nah, it sucked because it bounced all over the place. Okay, so yeah, now we're over Victoria, returning back to a U.S. airspace. Take a look at our cheater map here. Well, that's a haul, so I guess, yeah, it didn't help that we diverted out to Everett. So our return leg should actually be slightly shorter. I'm going to try to land on our north runway, so was it 1-4 for the departure? I don't know what that is off the top of my head. In the opposite direction, I don't really care either, to be honest with you, but we're going to be landing opposite of runway 14, is it? Not 14 and then 9er? Yeah, I don't care. Opposite of runway 14. There's 11.5, staying above that 10,000 foot. We didn't really get any... God, that looks awful. I don't understand the texture loading logic in flight sim. So when we departed Boeing Field, obviously, you know, that was all preloaded. It's where we took off from. It's going to be the highest fidelity. But then we flew over water for Frozen? Flew over water for miles. It was just miles of water. There's some weather coming in off to the right. And... yeah, well, left. Right. Nope, that's the right. But the texture loading. So if I go and look over here, I understand we're at 11,500 feet, and that's probably another, you know, 4 miles out, but it just looks so bad, and all you're rendering right now is my airplane and the clouds. The water looks bad. I don't understand it. It's not an internet limitation thing. No, given I don't have... Actually, I might have the Seattle area pre-cached because I like flying out of here a lot. I don't know. Let's say that I don't have it pre-cached. According to flight sims, you know, sales pitch, if you have a decent computer, which I do, and a decent internet connection, which I definitely do, you should be able to, you know, load really good quality terrain, and that's just not been the case, which really sucks. Really sucks. But so I mean, if I back way out, it looks okay, and you know, I get the whole fisheye thing going on. Oh, there's some rain over there. I guess we'll stay at 11.5, skirt over these cloud tops. Oh, there's a little rainbow. See if we can get back into Everett or Boeing Field without hitting this rain. I don't know if that's going to be possible. We got on my first officer's range. Yeah, we'll be fine. So we'll stay over this weather here, and then we'll descend through 10,000 and scoop in or scoot into Boeing Field. Be the plan. Those of you who are into the DCS content, be sure to check out the Hind. I still haven't gotten it. There's a pre-order. It's on sale right now. I don't think I'm going to get the Hind. And let me explain why. It looks like an amazing rotorcraft. I like it. It looks cool, right? But the Apache is right behind it. And at the end of the day, I know that the Hind is probably going to be a $60, $70, $80,000, $60, $70, $80 module. And if I'm going to drop that, I want that to be a module I get lots of entertainment out of. And if the AH-64 drops a couple months later, or even, you know, 6 months later, I'm not going to have gotten my fill or my money's worth out of it. I know I'm just going to go fly the Apache. So I'm really stoked for the AH-64 to come out. You know, if the Hind turns out to be a really cool, versatile rotorcraft, I might get it. It also doesn't help that I'm not terribly into the Russian aircraft. I'm getting more into them as time goes on, but just as of right now, I'm not super into Russian aircraft. Obviously, the Mi-24 is a Russian helicopter. Capabilities of the aircraft are amazing. It's literally everything. It's a troop transport. It can be an attack helicopter. I think it can even do light sling loading. It's got, I think, 6 if you include the tips. So like 6 hard points you can mount stuff on. Rockets, fuel tanks, bombs. It can drop bombs. Like, I'm slowly selling myself, actually, Mi-24 now that I think about it. But, you know, it's cool. It's like a souped-up, cooler-looking version of the Mi-8, which I do have in DCS. So I don't have a good track on, well, I don't have the ability to track this storm with the weather suite that we're given on Flight Sim. So I don't know what direction this weather is moving, but I think I'm going to start our descent. So we're going to go down to 4.5. We're going to roll our speed right down to 200. We're going to set our vertical speed to -1,000 feet. And we'll see what the airplane does. I mean, 1,000 feet per minute is not a very aggressive descent. I'm actually going to go 190 on our speed. And we'll drop flaps as well as we descend. Terrain map over there, and we'll have weather on my screen. I like how it gives me the option to click even though this section of the screen is not interactive. It's over here that you can interact with, but whatevs. Okay, so through 10,000 now, coming through 289 knots. Why do you have to be like that? Okay, landing lights are on. We've got the logo and wing lights back on. Not that I think we'll can't even see it, but I promise they're on. You can see our wing light right there, and then you can see our logo lights. Well, it's right there. Can't really see it that well from this angle because the vertical stabilizer's literally casting half a shadow on it, but I promise it's on. Kind of see what's the other. What is that? Can't tell because it looks like just garbage. Like literally, like I would rather get rid of all this 3D tree generated crap and just give me a Google Maps overlay that's not in 480p. You know, terrain data, whatever, cool. This looks like maybe a landfill or something over our left engine. But you've got these 3D buildings intermeshed with garbage. You know, I'm assuming that's like a mall or something. The roadways look awful. I really hate being this negative, but it's kind of not a choice. Okay, let's give our aircraft a little bit of help with getting down. Full flight idle. Let's go 2,000. We'll go 2,000 feet per minute. First notch of flaps in. Okay, and she's adding power back. So we'll retract our speed brakes. Rearm them. Boeing field should be coming into view here pretty soon. Why are we not descending? Need more help? There you go. There's some more help. I don't know if I want full 74%. Yeah, because now she's adding power back in. 165. But if you could descend at the rate I'm asking you, that'd be awesome. $2,000 feet is what I'm commanding. Okay. That's fine. Be like that. Yeah, now we're, again, over speed because the auto... And again, I'm not claiming to be, you know, a 787 aficionado. Well, there's our real nice rainbow there. So we're going to have to compete with the Seattle-Tacoma traffic as well, which is going to be interesting. You can see our destination right there, I believe. I think that's where we're headed to. On the map, it's indicating straight ahead. I'm pretty sure that's Boeing Field right there. I can't quite tell. Yeah, because you've got the big runway, and then is that a little runway? Yeah, okay, it is. So we're going to go... Just start heading. So we're going to go ahead and select now. Still don't know why we never hit 2,000 feet per minute. You can see our magenta bug is at 2,000 feet. I cycled our vertical speed, and yeah, we're just doing 1,100. 2,000 feet per minute is not a lot to ask. It really isn't. Anyway. Seattle skyline off to our left. Radio towers there. There's the Space Needle and that triad of radio towers there. And then the whole city is just a blob. It's just melted. Seattle got melted. not certain. So in older flight sim games, there were certain assets that were actually loaded. Like they existed in the game's library database, and it would pull those assets and load them. So like the Space Needle, for example, would be one, right? So the Space Needle would look great, which actually doesn't look too bad right there. Everything around it sucks, but the Space Needle would be like a loaded asset. It's like, oh yeah, put this here. Then I would just kind of either auto-gen scenery for the rest of this, or, you know, maybe there were a few other buildings in the Seattle skyline that would load it. And Chicago's a good example because of the Sears Tower and then the John Hancock Center. That's probably too much, actually. I'll stick with 140. So that was Boeing Field. I was right. Okay, set flaps 15. Keep cruising in here. Keep the autopilot on for just a little bit. Oh, goodbye frames. Sorry about the PowerPoint presentation. It's time to look at a new GPU. I know when, and it doesn't help, I did move Flight Sim from my SSD to my hard disk just because it's so friggin' big. That probably didn't do me any favors. But, I don't know, it's strange. I understand that, obviously, you know, equipment degradation is a thing, so over time, your hardware, all of your hardware, will degrade. It's just a thing. But I run almost every other game just fine with my current GPU compared to Flight Sim. Yes, I could, you know, upgrade to like a 2080 or a 3080 and probably run this just fine. But, you know, let's go down to 2,500. 1,000 feet. Flaps set 15. Let's go gear and one more notch of flaps. Really start piling the drag on. We'll go 155 on the speed. Okay. Or 150 is fine too. What? Okay, so I've never flown on a 787, but I have a hard time believing that's the sound the gear make when they drop. That was obnoxious. Oh, big old rain shaft back there. That's pretty cool. Okay, so 787 bounce test. We'll get down to 2,500. We'll kick off the autopilot, and then we'll fly it in ourselves. 2,500. Noted. We're now at 2,500 AGL. We'll keep descending to 2,500 MSL. I think that's our outer marker for Seattle Tacoma. I think. Well, no, because Tacoma's like off to our right immediately now. Isn't it? Oh yeah, we're overflying it actually. Oh, is that a Spirit A320? It is, a little Spirit jet down there. Okay, so autopilot off. Hopefully the auto throttle doesn't kill us. Roll in another notch of flaps. We'll enjoy our PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, I don't think it's my GPU, because so if it was mine, I've tested this rather extensively. If it was my GPU, I would assume, like, I play a lot of the other, you know, modern games on maximum graphics, little to no issues, at very playable frames, you know, in the mid 40s to low 50 frame rate range, right? I've also tested Flight Sim with, you know, I'll do like I'll go somewhere where it's like a barren desert, right? And there's like no terrain to load. And I still get this like hiccuping issue. So like you remember in the Vector video where it would hang up, let go for a second, and then hang up again? It would do that even when I'm out in the, like, middle of nowhere. So I think it has to be a flight sim. And, you know, I would get frame drop just like we're getting now when I get close to the ground. But again, it's not rendering anything, given it's rendering flat desert. But it could quite literally repeat that same texture over and over. I'm sure it's not doing that. But rendering Seattle and the hills and the trees and the cities and the streets and the cars, I would assume that would have a much bigger impact than, you know, flying in a barren desert. And I'm getting the same frame drop issues in the same conditions. And that tied with my GPU performing pretty well in quite literally every other game that I play, it really leads me to think it's something with... So look at how long we're frozen right now. I think we actually just hit a game crash. This is the longest I've had flight sim freeze in a long... We're completely frozen. I'm hands off stick and throttle. Are we just going to appear into the ground now? Is that what's going to happen? We're just gonna go into the ground? Oh, no, okay, we're unfrozen. That's fine. We're down to 125 knots, and we're gonna slam into the ground like a stone. That's okay. Let's get that rate of descent arrested.
200.
So this is what we're here for, the bounce test.
100.
1,000 feet, that's pretty quick.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Idle. Idle throttle. Come on, touchdown, you big bird. There we go. Okay, we're down. This gear's down. Thrust reverser is opening. In through 60. Oh, what is going on with the terrain here? Did you guys see that little shell? Look, there's more. There's more. What's going on? Alright, let's clean up the airplane. Oh. Forgot on the 787, the speed brakes close after you shut the... Is it the thrust reversers or after you bring the engines down? I don't remember. Well, no, they'd be open during thrust reversing. We're frozen again. They'd be open during thrust reversing. And then I guess they close once the thrust reverser shut off. This is terrible. This is awful. I'm going to have to do some research on why Flight Sim is behaving so poorly on my machine. But like I was talking about before, the thing with the engines and the motion and the wheels looking like hot garbage. So if I stop, just slow on the brakes, I don't care. So there is what the wheels look like. They look very good, in my opinion. If I let off of the brakes, watch the wheels. You're already getting tessellation around the tires, and now the whole wheel just looks like garbage. Again, we'll watch that again. In fact, let's go to the drone camera, because I can move that a little bit easier, or manipulate it a little bit easier. Don't know how to go up and down, though. Huh, alright, well. Okay, so that's my zoom. So if I zoom in on the nose gear, so there's the nose gear, it looks great, right? Let's let off of the brakes and get the airplane moving. Ah. Hold on. Forget it doesn't care about your inputs at all when you're in drone mode. But you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to exit drone mode now because we're about to go off of the runway. Anyway, I'm not going to bother with a pull-in and shutdown. I don't care, and I don't think you guys care either. The 787's not ready for, you know, real sim level flights. It's really not. So that's going to do it for me in this video. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you in the next one, and as always, take it easy. Bad nose wheel.